Well, that's not how you spell subscribe. Maybe I'm just hungry for a sub, short for submarine. Catanians, if you've just been playing basic Catan, you're going to need to drop what you're doing and come watch this Cities and Nights video, or go play some Cities and Nights, play the tutorial, look up the rules, because Cities and Nights, it's just the best expansion. I know I say it over and over and over, but it's just so true. And in this video, we're going to be going over the wheat strategy in Cities and Nights specifically. Now, the wheat strategy has been talked about in Basic Catan many times and in many videos you can find on YouTube, and probably it has been talked about in many posts on many Catan forums over the World Wide Web. But I want to talk about it specifically in Cities and Nights because I think there's also an argument to be made for using the wheat strategy in Cities and Nights. Now, initially, you may not, think to do this strategy as opposed to, just like I always say, go straight for the city improvements by building on your cities on lumber, sheep, and ore, and also going for more cities on the board and eventually metropolises and just more of those three things. But there is room for the wheat strategy because you're activating knights a lot, assuming you actually do want to keep your cities and not have them be destroyed by the barbarians. You're building more cities, which is going to cost wheat as well as ore. And having the wheat port, which is going to be a part of the wheat strategy, it's going to allow you to make those juicy 2-for-1 trades in very crucial situations where you need to get ahead further in the game. And let's basically go with this. So when I say wheat strategy, what I mean is you have the wheat port and you build on as many wheat hexes as you can. And you see with my placements, I built on 3 of the 4 wheat hexes. And can I just note, what a surprise that we're playing 4-player Cities and Nights, not 3-player. We're playing 4-player where this board is very crowded, and not a single player for a starting settlement nor starting city took that 6 wheat on the board. So it is wide open, and it kind of looks like red will probably get it because they're 1 road and then a settlement away from building on the 6 wheat. But don't write out green having a chance to swing around the 3 sheep to get on it. And also don't write out blue coming on down for some 6 wheat. Maybe after they go for the ore port off of the 5 ore 2 brick, because they're already built on 2 ore hexes. So I would wager that they'll go for the ore port, seeing as I've blocked them coming over to the 8 wheat, 3 or 4 wheat spot, as I've taken that with my starting settlement. So basically, you may not want to build on the wheat port with a starting settlement, and definitely in Cities and Nights, do not build on the wheat port with a starting city unless it is on, the port is available on 2 numbers. In this case, it's only available on the 4 wheat, that's it. But if you have a wheat port that's available on like a 6 and an 8 and it's on the coastline, and at least one of those hexes with the city will produce commodities, then I would say go for it, put your starting city there. But really, other than that, don't be building a starting city on a wheat port. You just get close to it like I did. That way you can get to it within, the first 10 or so minutes of the game. And one issue with this, that going for as many wheat hexes that you can build on and also going for the wheat port, you're probably going to sacrifice building on one of the resources, if not 2. And you'll see, in fact, I did not build on any brick, although I really wanted to be on that 3 sheep, 9 brick, 6 wheat spot. I had to, favor getting paper. So that's why I did, in fact, build on the 10 lumber, 5 wheat, 4 brick spot. And I'm going to have to get brick from someone else because I don't have any brick, and I also don't have merchant at this point. So It just depends. Maybe someone will trade with me. It's looking like red is the only one really getting brick, unless 11s get rolled a somewhat decent amount. So we'll see on that. And we are trying to get a trade here. I really need one ore to build a knight. No one wants to trade. I'm like, okay, I'll throw 2 wheat. Come on, I'm the wheat master right now. Take a bunch of my wheat. Now I'm going to throw 3 cards for an ore, see if anybody bites on the offer. And what do you know? 2 players, and then red also, being the 3rd player, denies it. They just want me to lose the city. And you know what? I understand. I would have done the same thing if I was in any one of their positions. So now I have to burn a city. And it looks like red, well, did also not build a knight, and thus will lose a city. So me and red get knocked back to 2 victory points. And not only do I have to get on this wheat board to get my wheat strategy going, I also have to get a city back on the board. Thankfully, the barbarians invaded and a 7 was rolled at the same time, so we doubled down on the shutdown. And red chose to put it on that 6 lumber. What a perfect choice. That is the hottest number on the board right now, because every time a 6 is rolled, both green and blue are getting paper along with lumber. And that is just very overpowered. So red goes ahead after losing a city, puts it back on the board in the same turn, and then we get a nice 3, so I do get an ore, so I can finally build my knight, but now I don't have any cities to protect, so I'm like, you know what? I don't even have to worry about building knights. I'll just let the other players battle it out for Defender of Catan victory points, and I'll just focus on getting my settlement onto that wheat port on the 4 wheat at the top of your screen. So now we get a 9, and of course I'm not built on a 9, so I have to watch as brick and sheep go out along with a cloth. And I am hoping that brick will be traded, but it's not happening. So at this point, if red's not going to trade brick, I'm either going to have to make a really, really good offer for it, or I'm going to have to hope to get a merchant. And what do you know? What pops right into my hand? So now I got merchant, so I can put it on, ironically, I can put it on wheat, 2 for 1 for a brick, and then build a settlement, and then have a wheat port and a merchant on wheat. So it will quickly become redundant. But in order to get on the wheat port, in order to get that brick, I have to. That's what it looks like right now. I have to put that merchant on the wheat. Because the other thing with cities and knights is, with the wheat strategy, you get on the wheat port, right? In this, in the perfect scenario. And then if you built a city on a sheep hex, then hopefully you get cloth, and you can spend those upgrades for yellow progress cards eventually. And when things start coming in like merchant, you can have the wheat port, and then you can throw the merchant down on a different hex. So you're kind of jumping right in the game, you know, early on, having 2 different ports essentially. You have 1 port and then you have a merchant. So you're having 2 resources being able to be traded in at a 2 for 1 rate. And having that early on in the game, that is crucial, because that will help you to get more cities out on the board at a faster rate, maybe build a road and a settlement, and then upgrade that to a city, and just really get your production going early on. And that's going to set you up for the long term, because as we all know, the more production you get, just the more things you're going to be able to do. Whereas, you know, other people, they might have really good roles where all different kinds of resources are coming in, so they really don't have to trade all that much. But usually that doesn't work out for me that way, so I usually go for just maximum production, so I can just trade in as I need, or hopefully find some nice players to trade with. So now an 8 being rolled, I get another wheat, and Master Merchant goes out. And what do you know? Because I played Merchant to get that settlement, I still wanted it any other way, but I just barely went ahead in victory points compared to every other player, so red has no choice but to choose from me when using Master Merchant. So now I'm kind of back down a couple cards, so I need 2 cards now instead of just 1 for a city. And I'm also looking at the barbarians. They're kind of halfway to invading our land again. So I'm like, it may not be this round. I may have to wait till the barbarians attack and then go back before I decide to build a city back on the board. Because if I build one right now, I can't protect it. There's no way that I'll get the cards in this short amount of time to also build a knight and activate it. At least that's what I was thinking in this moment. And of course, after I get Master Merchant played on me, Resource Monopoly comes around by green, takes 2 wheat from me. So I keep getting, back to where I started. So right now, they're just not looking too good because I don't have a city on the board and everyone else does. So that's definitely not a position you want to be in early on in the game. Definitely not late in the game. If you don't have a city later in at the halfway point or later in the game, you can probably just, hang it up, so to speak, because you're probably not going to win. But then again, crazier things have happened. You'll see in my 100th Catan video that I made a 6-point comeback, and it was incredible. But I did have cities, so that's not quite the same. Okay, red coming in with another 7. I do get Master Merchant. And so I have to wait for green to build a victory point so they can jump ahead of me. Then I can steal from them. Or this is the one time when I hope to lose my merchant. Because if I lose merchant, then, what do you know? I just lost 2 more wheat. Every time I get so close to getting the cards to build a city, and then people just keep using Resource Monopoly or Master Merchant on me. But what I was trying to say before red rudely interrupted me with their Resource Monopoly is that this is the one time I would be okay with losing merchant, because that would pull me back down to 3 victory points and boost whoever an extra victory point. And then I would be free to use Master Merchant on another player, because I would then be behind at least 1 player in victory point count. So that would be nice. Plus, in this specific situation, the merchant would come off my wheat hex, but I now have the wheat port, so it wouldn't matter all that much. I would just hope that after using Master Merchant, I could later get another merchant in my progress card hand and then throw it down on either the lumber hex or the sheep hex, because I don't see myself trading in a lot of ore because I only have a 3 ore. So any ore I get is very precious and should be used for cities, and that's it. Unless I'm very close to getting the science bonus. But hopefully by then I'll be getting a lot of paper and a lot of lumber coming in. And what do you know? Merchant does get used by green, so my wish has been granted. I can now use Master Merchant on not only green, but also red, because red did in fact build that settlement on the 6 wheat that we were talking about earlier. So they kind of have full domain over that 6 wheat. They could probably build on it again before anyone else gets onto it, because blue's kind of very far away from it. And then green is 1, 2, 3 roads away from being able to build on that 6 wheat. And red just needs to build another 2 roads to either side of the 6 wheat and just totally dominate that hex. So that was one I wish I could have gotten on, but I did favor, the chance at getting paper. And now I take from green, and thankfully green has just some juicy cards for me. So I'm going to take a 3rd stone. Finally, after getting taken from so much, I'm going to be able to build a city, and I stole a coin from them, so I got blue city improvements level 1. A 6 is rolled, and I do not have a 6. 6s and 9s were just out of reach for me this game, and they got rolled a very decent amount. So I'm always trying to guess what number to build on that's going to be rolled a lot. And I always usually guess wrong. Every once in a while I have those games where it's like the dice rolls just go my way for the entire game. And I'm like, the dice rolls rolled me to victory, essentially. I mean, technically they do every time, but of course in Cities and Knights, as I say, there's a bit more strategy involved compared to just basic Catan or just seafarers. So a 3 gets rolled. I do get an ore. I wish I had a city on that 4 wheat, 8 wheat, 3 ore, because I would have gotten a coin as well. And I also would be getting a lot more wheat. And, I was kind of torn about putting the city back on my starting city spot on the 4 sheep, 5 wheat, 10 lumber, because I was like, this is all about the wheat strategy. But I was like, I favor commodities just a little bit more than having, wheat to trade in at a 2-for-1 rate. Because right now I'm going for commodities, so I want to directly get commodities off a 4 and a 10. And of course, 9s are getting rolled again. We win against the barbarians, and blue, in fact, gets a Defender of Catan victory point. So right now, everybody's pretty neck and neck. Green has a slight lead, but we're all tied for second at 4 victory points. So anything is possible. Anything can happen. And I use Lovely Deserter, and I take from... Yeah, it was blue. Yep. So I take from blue, and I put a knight of equal strength on the board, and that will actually be my first knight. I was not able to build my first knight. I actually had to steal it from someone else. That's how you know that you are very poor in the land of Catan, in the land of Cities and Knights Catan. And with Wedding from red, I did not have to give 2 cards of my choice to red because I was tied for victory points in red. I was not ahead of red in victory points. So that was nice to hold on to some cards and not have to give them any. And they used Wedding to their advantage because they now have a second city out on the board. And what do you know? Of course, they put it on the 6 wheat, 9 brick, 3 sheep. So brick is actually very rare on this board. The 9 is the best spot. I don't see 11s getting rolled all that much. So, and 9s are getting rolled pretty good so far. So essentially red has a monopoly on brick. Again, as I say, it's probably the least important resource in Cities and Knights, but you still need it eventually for stuff. You still eventually have to branch out, build a road and a settlement to win the game. And red has brick on lockdown, essentially. If an alchemist comes along, I don't see blue using an alchemist to roll an 11. I think they would use it for a 6 if the robber's not on the 6. And even if the robber was on a 6, they might go for a 3 instead over an 11. So red can really ask for pretty much anything they want. I don't know if they're going to get it. And trading is, in Cities and Knights, compared to Basic Catan, I don't think trading is or carries that much weight, as in terms of like you have a really rare resource and everyone else wants it. But in Cities and Knights, you're like, you know what? I can just build city improvements and eventually get cards that can be used to steal that resource from you, or I can get cards that can allow me to trade in at more favorable trade rates to get whatever resource I'm trying to get that only you can really get from the board. So that's why I say, you can have a resource, unless it's like maybe ore, that maybe only you built on an ore hex that was good and everyone else was left with like a 3 ore and like an 11 ore, maybe a 12 ore, then maybe I could see that. But something like brick, I just don't see in it being that useful for trading. Now I do have the merchant back on my end. I have it on the sheep hex, but I'm looking at red now because red's jumped up to 6 victory points. They have 3 cities on the board, and every time a 9 gets rolled, they will now get 4 brick. That is, it's not that alarming yet, but it's like, that's a 4-for-1 trade if they're not using that brick for a settlement or a road or a city wall. And we should also kind of be worried if they all of a sudden get 3 city walls out on the board. because then they can just hold a bunch of cards, and a 7 won't matter to them all that much anymore. And being able to hold on to, up to 13 cards if you have 3 city walls, and having a 7 come through and it not affecting you, but other players send a burn card because they maybe don't have any city walls. Yeah, then you got to be keeping an eye on that player, because they'll be able to do a lot. You can always do something on your turn with 13 cards, at least one thing. And what do you know? A 7 gets rolled, so maybe now they're thinking about getting that city wall, because they did get a lot of brick off that 9. So we'll see where they place the robber, and bam, right on my 8. But thankfully they take from blue, because I bet they perceive blue as a bigger threat, because blue has 2 cities on the board. They also have a level 2 knight. I just have 1 little city and 1 little level 1 knight, so you ain't got to worry about me. Plus they had a city on the 8 wheat. I only had a settlement, so maybe they were looking at blue as being the bigger threat, which I'm totally okay with, because I want to kind of keep flying under the radar, just kind of track along with everyone else's progress, and late in the game, make my big move. So we'll see if that happens. Passing it on to green, as red is now at 7 victory points, and they have the merchant right on that brick. It makes perfect sense, but now I bet me and the other players are all kind of very alarmed. And what do you know? With that 7 roll, green throws that over right down on that 9 brick to hopefully stop all the brick coming in. And now brick has become very valuable, not for me, green and blue, but exclusively for red. Because if red can get a bunch of brick and trade it in at 2-for-1 rate, they can get city improvements a lot faster. They can trade in for whatever else they may currently need. It looks like they don't have any more settlements on the board. They're all citied out, so they can expand out with more roads and a settlement if they so choose. Having that merchant on the brick and having a bunch of brick coming in is also a very, very good strategy. And at this point, I'm still not able to quite take advantage of my wheat port, and that's kind of the whole part of the wheat strategy, but I just got to wait till I can get a city on that 4 wheat, 8 wheat, 3 ore, and really get my production doubled up and really get it going. And I was like, you know what, let me build a knight, because I see that since I stole a knight from blue stuck at 2 knights. Green is also at 2 knights. They don't have their 3rd knight activated. The barbarians are 2 spaces away from attacking. Red only has a level 1 knight. Let me see if I can tie a knight strength and get a progress card from tying for beating out the barbarians against the land of Catan. And I get stolen from this time, so I guess red does not have favorites to steal from. They stole from blue last time. This time they steal from me. But they do have a favorite hex. They put it on that 8 wheat. Let's see what green's going to do. Green rolls an 8. Of course, my 8 would shut down, but I still do get a progress card. I get Crane. Crane will allow me to build a city improvement for the cost of 1 less commodity card. So, for example, if I had the level 1 on the green city improvements, I could play Crane with 1 singular Crane in my hand and get the green city improvements level 2. But I don't think I have any green city improvements, come to think of it. Oh, actually, I do have 1. I have 2 blue city improvements. I'm at blue city improvements level 2. I'm at yellow city improvements level 1, and I'm at green city improvements level 1. So I really want to get that city out on the board, but I also want to get that science bonus, because you can see 5 has not been getting rolled a whole lot, and I've been checking the dice statistics, and I'm like, what's with the 9s getting rolled like crazy, but 5 has a probability of getting rolled just as equally as a 9, yet I'm not seeing a whole bunch of 5s. I'm just seeing 9s and 7s and 8s, it seems like. And what do you know? Another green progress card comes my way. It is road building. So now I'm getting a little extra strategy brewing in my head. I'm like, okay, I know I want to build on more wheat hexes, but I have a decision, Do I go for the brick port on the 8 wheat with that road building and build another road to block blue from even thinking about going over there? Or do I go the opposite way and do I build on the 4 wheat 11 lumber? And blue is going to take care of my answer very quickly for me with this inventor number swap. So they are going to choose to move the number tiles 9 and 11. So they saw that red was getting a lot of brick off that 9. So they took the 9 away and gave them 11 on that brick, which is still shut down, by the way. So now blue anticipates building on that 9 lumber, because it looks like between them and green, they have a better chance of it, unless green has a road and a settlement in their hand, but they only have 3 progress cards currently. Now they're, or 3, regular cards, but now they're down to 2, because I just stole a cloth from them, and I was able to use my crane to get the yellow city improvements level 2. So I'm like, let me go over here, get on this 4 wheat, 9 lumber as soon as I can. But I built my roads that way off of the settlement touching the 8 lumber instead of the settlement on the wheat port, so I could block off blue from coming over to that area if they were thinking about it. But yeah, as I was saying, between blue and green, getting to the that 6 lumber, 9 lumber, 12 lumber spot, I think it's going to be blue. Although green does have 4 progress cards. You never know what's up their sleeve. And funnily enough, all those cities red was building, and they had to burn a city. So, you got to protect your cities. You got to build knights. The more cities you build, the more knight strength you need to have on the board. And red did not take that into account. The one good thing for red would be for 11s to start getting rolled pretty well, because that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 cards off of an 11 for red. But then again, merchant was stolen away by green, and that's the really, really fun thing to watch, is if someone gets merchant early on, if everyone else starts building cloth for city improvements on the yellow side, there's 6 merchant cards, as I found out in my last video where I ranked all 54 progress cards from worst to best. There's 6 merchant cards, and anyone could have merchant or multiple merchants at any point in the game, especially if everyone's been paying cloth for yellow city improvements. So it's really fun to watch someone get merchant initially like I did, but then watch it just get stolen like many, many times throughout the game, because it's just literally the most popular progress card. No other progress card has 6 of itself in any given stack except for merchant. The next most popular progress card would have to be Resource Monopoly, also in the yellow stack, and there's 4 of those. Okay, so now it's back to me. I do have 2 paper in my hand, and what do you know, when 8 gets rolled, I will get to activate a knight. After green chooses, I bet they have, no, they don't have Aqueduct. Oh, you know what it is? Green they had 5 progress cards, but because it was not their turn, they have to get rid of 1. So you can only hold 4 progress cards unless it's your turn and you get a progress card that same dice roll. You can then hold up to 5. So I just go ahead, activate a knight. I use merchant, and I do get green city improvements level 2. So now that I'm at level 2, I'm hoping for the science bonus to be achieved for my color very soon. But we're going to have to see some 10s get rolled. I went ahead, I plopped the merchant down on the sheep, because again, I already have the wheat port, and I want some nice 4s to get rolled so I can trade in sheep as I need. And I also am now back again looking for a brick, because once again, I'm building another settlement on the board. But after that settlement, I really got to get some cities on the board. Red has the perfect idea. They have put that city that they lost right back on the board, and 11 will now net them 6 brick, and wow, that is, whew. Yep, that's gonna be very powerful. Okay. Oh, that's why green was taking so long to roll. So they had an alchemist, and they go for a 5. Thank you, green, and thank you for giving me an alchemist with your dice roll. Wow. Not only did green use an alchemist, but they indirectly gave me an alchemist. And of course, 5 was not getting rolled, and green recognized that, and green wanted to activate their knights, so they rolled the 5 so they could finally get some wheat coming their way, because the 5 wheat is the only wheat hex they're built on. And once again, merchant's getting stolen. It's getting taken away from me. It's going over to green, going right on that 6 lumber. And they have a bunch of cards, so they're going to be doing some trade in. Yawning. And there goes science bonus for green. And wow, at this point, I don't think anyone else has a science bonus, and green being the first one to get it will have that much more of an advantage for getting exactly what card they want over anyone else when their number is not rolled. So now a 3 gets rolled, and green does have a 3, so they will get a cloth and a sheep, but so will red. And Master Merchant coming out by blue. Can't take from me because I'm behind blue. So it looks like they're going to take... Actually, they can only take from red because blue is tied with green. So they take 2 cards from red. And, they have irrigation. Wow, what a hot turn so far. They also got an ore and a coin off of the 3. What's going on? And, yep, they in fact did get that very, very good settlement placement. But to kind of curb blue's ultimate takeover of the game, ultimate power move, you see that green has a very, very good strategically placed knight. It is right there at the intersection of the 6 lumber and the 9 sheep and the 12 lumber. And they can build 1 road over and steal that lumber port before blue gets to it, because blue is built on a lot of lumber. And thankfully, green is kind of blocking them from getting over to that lumber port anytime soon. The other good thing with that, as I get the science bonus, so green just got it, but I also got it. So now we're going to have an advantage over the other 2 players. Thankfully, another crane came my way. I wasn't able to get both crane in my hand at the same time to see if it would work, already being at level 2 city improvements for the green side, only having 1 paper in my hand, using 2 crane for the other 2 paper I need to get the science bonus. I'm still not sure if it works like that. I still want to try it someday, given the opportunity. So very, very good knight placement on green. They didn't, of course, we didn't realize that would be so strategic. Also, upgrading it, we also didn't realize would be so strategic from blocking blue from trying to get over to that lumber port, because blue now has to get a level 3 Mighty Knight and then place a road off of their new settlement to touch green's level 2 Knight, and then move an activated Mighty Knight over to the spot where green's level 2 Knight is sitting to then take over that spot for themselves, and then they can continue building onto the lumber port. But thankfully that's not going to happen, and this game will stay close, because I feel like if blue gets to that lumber port, we're all in for some trouble, and we're going to be, trying to all unite against blue to have a chance of someone else winning this game. And the science bonus coming in hot for me, so I'm going to take a brick, and I'm now 1 singular wheat away for getting a settlement on that very good 4 wheat, 9 lumber spot. So if I can make that happen, then I can finally get another city on the board and really start to rock and roll. I really wish I had another ore hex. I really wish I was able to get down to that 5 lumber at the left side of your screen, because that would help me immensely. But then again, 5s aren't getting rolled a whole lot this game. So what can you do? Maybe at this point we're already halfway through the game. Maybe 5s will have a turnaround, not a resurgence, but they'll start getting rolled a lot. And maybe 9s will die down. But actually, now that I'm about to be built on, I don't want 9s to die down. I guess I just don't want 11s to get rolled, because for red, that would just be, whew. If they get that merchant back out on the brick for them, that's gonna be trouble. Okay, so a 9 gets rolled, and I'm just barely not on the 9, but because of science bonus, I get to take a wheat, and once blue is done with their turn, assuming they don't steal any resources from me, you know where my settlement's going. So they throw a knight down the board, they activate it, and they are 1 knight behind green for most knights on the board. So green has 4 knight strength, blue has 3. Another aqueduct, so I'm going to take us ore in anticipation of getting a city out on the board later. Oh, man. Oh. Wow. Sorry. It's only Monday, but again, worked my full-time job. Now I'm tired. But we're going to push through, record this video, and get it on the YouTube. The barbarians advance. They are 1 away. I'm not worried because I have 2 knights on the board. Everyone else has a bunch of knights, so I know that there are more knights than city barbarian strength from the cities. So I know I should be fine. I just need to carry on and try to save up for that city, which is I am now 2 cards away from getting a city. I do have the science bonus, and I know that green also has the science bonus. So I have to be careful because I can go for the city, which I am now 1 card away from. But if I go for that, in the meantime, green might go ahead and get that green Metropolis, and then I'll be struggling to get back in this game because green will jump ahead to 8 victory points. And once you have a Metropolis and you get up to 7, 8, 9 victory points, then you can start, working on, other stuff. Maybe getting another Metropolis or taking over Longest Road. And surprisingly, instead of the green Metropolis, they get the yellow Metropolis. So now I'm like, well, on the one hand, I need to really get this city, but on the other hand, I also need to take that green Metropolis before they take it for themselves. And not only did they build a Metropolis in their turn, they also built a city in that same turn. So green's up to 9 victory points just like that. I'm still lagging behind at 5. I'm in dead last. So it's 5, 6, 7. Now it's 10 because off of Defender of Catan, of course. Green just barely beat out blue for knight strength, so he got a Defender of Catan victory point. And, in this game, any one given player wasn't getting 3, 4, 5 Defender of Catan victory points, but they still play a factor in Cities and Knights because you're like, okay, yeah, green, sure, they got the 9 victory points, and then they were just going to be chilling there. No, 1 turn later, they got a 4th victory point over 2 dice rolls, and they're already at double-digit victory points, and now we really got to be worried, us, the rest of the players, and a 4 gets rolled, so I get a bunch of wheat, and now my wheat board is going to shine. It's been waiting for its time in the spotlight, and here it is. I am now at 6 wheat. I have my wheat port. I had spy, so I was able to take deserter, and I'm going to desert green, make them get rid of a knight because I don't want them getting Defender of Catan for the rest of the game because that's just way too powerful. You all know how easily it is to have 2 or 3 victory points be built, and or stolen in a single turn. So any other ways that green can get victory points, I have to shut down at it if at all possible. So I go ahead, I get the green Metropolis. I'm like, you know what? I had the 6 wheat. I had a paper. Trade in 6 wheat for 3 paper to get total of 4 paper. Get that Metropolis before green can have a hope of getting it for themselves because, I think I saved the game right there at that point. Held green back from jumping to 12 victory points. Put myself at 7. So I'm tied with the rest of the players. And I'm just still, chugging along, trying to see what else I can do. I can also try to think about taking Longest Road because at this point, I have the Longest Road system. I'm only at 4, but everyone else is stuck at, 2. Red's got 2 at the most. Blue's got 2 at the most. Green has 2 at the most. I could take Longest Road now, but it really put me on the radar, and I don't see green taking it, so I think I might hold off. Plus, I have a feeling that blue is setting themselves up to take it because, as you can see, they have 2 roads, but they also have another road off of their 8 wheat, 3 or 10 sheep. And if they just connect those roads up with 2 more roads, bam, that's 5 roads. That's longest road. And we see that all the metropolises have now been taken, with red taking the blue metropolis. So red was kind of went away early in the game after their 9 got taken and replaced with an 11 on that brick hex. But they've actually made a comeback, and they got a metropolis of their own. They have the blue one. So at this point, if a metropolis is stolen, that's probably really going to put that player out of the running for, winning the game. Because if someone steals a metropolis who already has a metropolis, wow, they are in a really good position to win. And if blue, the only player who doesn't have a metropolis, steals a metropolis, then they kind of replace that player who had a metropolis in the running for having a good chance to win. But we're all just really focused on green, I would say. At least I am, because they're 3 victory points ahead. They're only 3 away from winning. And as my prediction was spoken, so it is true. Blue has the road building progress card. They take longest road. So this is actually a very even spread. With basic Catan, it's just largest army and longest road as the extra, 2 victory point things to be taken. But in Cities and Knights, there's 3 metropolises, and then there's longest road as the 4 major 2-point things to have and to be stolen. So everyone has one of each. Red, green, and I each have a metropolis. Blue has longest road, so that is a very even spread. And that makes for a very good game, because even though I'm still down back at 7 victory points, this is actually a very close game because I just built another road, so I am now tied with blue for longest road, and I know I can take it later on if I want. And I finally, with that 6 being rolled, I was able to use the science bonus, get exactly the cards I need for a city on the board. And the dice roll, the 3rd dice was a green die, so I was blessed with a mining because I'm not getting a whole lot of ore. So now I can get 2 ore because I only have 1 ore hex. So that will be nice, and hopefully I can get another city on the board. Now check this out. You saw Inventor get used again. I now have both 9s. They used to be away from me on the board. I wasn't built on them at all. Now I have them both in my area. So if 9s keep staying hot as they were earlier in this game, you're going to see me get a bunch of cards at a very crucial point here late in the game, and bam, there's a 9. Okay, now things are getting rolling. Red wishes they had that 9 on that brick, but I just got, 5 cards off a 9. I got 4 wheat and a lumber, and that wheat port isn't going anywhere. It's mine forever. And Crane by green. It looks like they got the politics bonus with that. So they're now at level 3 on the blue city improvements. Hopefully they don't try to take my green metropolis, because at this point I have the green metropolis. I'm at level 4 on the green city improvements, but I don't see myself, wasting any cards to get to level 5 to secure it away, because I think it's too little too late to try to do that and also win the game, because as you see, now we have blue at 10 victory points along with green, and I can't be worried about putting away the green metropolis. I just have to hope it doesn't get stolen and hope that I can, do what I can to win this game before that happens, because I'm 5 victory points away from winning. I'm 2 away from the leaders, so I really have to get back in this before I can really hope to try to trade in for 5 paper, when those trade-ins could be used for much more crucial plays. So with my 8 wheat this turn, I'm looking like I want to get another city on the board. Man, there's so many things I could do, but I have to choose the right play. I have to figure out what that is, and I'm going to go ahead and put another city on the board. And with that, I'm going to hope that 9s are going to get rolled like just like they have been this whole game, because that's really going to help me out in these crucial, I want to say last few turns, but we are coming down into the last 7.5 minutes of the game. And it's really anybody's game, because you see, I just got the level 3 on the Yellow City improvements. I wanted to get to the trade bonus, because if I start getting some more paper coming in, I want to be able to trade in the paper at a 2-for-1 rate, along with the wheat at a 2-for-1 rate for whatever else I need. Because right now, I could try to think about taking Longest Road. I could also try to think about taking that Brickport from Blue. It looks like they're trying to build to it. And Red had Master Merchant. This is why you don't want to be in the lead at this point in the game. It's late in the game, but you don't want to get taken from at a crucial moment like that, when you might be saving up to just build that next settlement or the next city or that next city improvement. And then Red also uses Spy, and I'm also safe because I have no progress cards. So again, kind of flying under the radar, just hanging with the pack, but not being the star player. Just kind of doing your thing and hopefully not having much attention on you. But then, man, Red has those progress cards rolling out. So Bishop probably will go on me, I have a feeling. Yep, going right on that 5 wheat. Not that the 5 wheat was rolled a lot, but if you look at it, just look at the visual of the 5 wheat having 2 cities and 2 metropolises on it. And you're probably, I agree with Red. That's, wow. Those players are doing really well. Let me shut both of them down and steal a card from each of them with Bishop. Another 9 gets rolled. I get 6 cards this time around. And things are looking really good because I do have that trade bonus. So if I get another 9, I'm going to get a bunch more wheat. I'm going to get a second paper that I can then trade at a 2-for-1 rate. But then green is like, hold on. Let's not let that happen, because let me use Commercial Harbor. Steal your paper, but gave me a brick. Gave me exactly what I needed. So now I'm in a position to seriously think about taking Longest Road this late in the game. And keep in mind, blue is at 10 victory points, but green is the bigger threat. Because if green can steal my green Metropolis, then that's a bigger threat to me than blue just maintaining their Longest Road. So we'll see what happens. If either of them build to Green City Improvements level 4, then I'm going to be very, very worried. But so far, so good. An 8 gets rolled. Now that I have a city on the 8, I will get 2 wheat instead of just 1, which I was getting for a lot of the portion of this game, because I only had a settlement on that 8 wheat, but now it's a city. And now I have a crucial decision to make. Do I go for Longest Road, or do I steal that Brickport from blue? Because if I steal that Brickport from blue, I force them to build somewhere else. I get another placement on that 8 wheat, and then I'm able to get even more wheat coming my way. So I'm going to do just that, because why not steal a placement from another player, especially at this point late in the game? You can see we're about 4 minutes away from this game being over. Wow, guys, what a crazy game. Okay, so the Barbarians invaded. We did win, and thankfully, green did not get that Defender of Catan victory point, because you remember early in the game, I used Deserter to steal a knight from them. So red gets the victory point instead. Now we're all at 10 victory points. Anything's happening. It's anybody's game. And I think I saw that red is at Yellow City Improvements level 4. So if green is still stuck at Level City Improvements level 4, we might have a Metropolis being stolen here very late in the game in what would be a crazy turn of events. So I got to put in the chat that it's such a good game, because it is. When do you ever have a game of Cities and Knights where everyone is tied at the same victory point level, and it's like only a few victory points away from winning? This is the stuff of very, very few games, I would say. And then a 9 gets rolled, and blue does also benefit. Green gets a science bonus because they don't have a 9 anymore, but I just benefit the most off of a 9. The 9s late in the game, I think, are what really put this game in the bag because I think I have it now. As long as no one steals my green Metropolis, I think I'm going to win this game. And the wheat strategy is really coming into full effect here because that 9 just being rolled and my 9 wheat just pumping out wheat for me, I'm able to trade for whatever I want. I can take Longest Road. I can maybe get another city on the board. What do you know? A 12 gets rolled here, so I'll take a brick because now I'm like, you know what? I gotta get that Longest Road. I gotta pull blue back down from 10 victory points, and then I also have to keep an eye on green. And what do you know? Blue is like, give me that merchant, so they steal from green, and green is in fact at level 4 on the green city improvements. And I am very, very, like, you know what? I gotta win. I might have to win this game this turn because if green has a bunch of cards in their hand they can trade in for 5 paper, I'm pretty much done for. I won't win. I won't have enough time to get back in this. And another 9 gets rolled. This game looks like it's in the bag. 12 wheat with the wheat port. About to take a Longest Road. I also have medicine, so that way a city will cost 2 ore and a wheat instead of 3 ore and 2 wheat. I'm at 10 victory points. I need a city and Longest Road to win, and I think I have the cards to do so. I also have 3 papers, so I can trade 2 paper in for 1 card of my choice because I have the trade bonus, which is level 3 on the yellow city improvements. And I will note that green had level 4 on the yellow city improvements, and red built up to level 4, and it looks like they were getting ready to steal the yellow Metropolis from green. So if red was in fact able to do that, they might have won if they were planning on doing it at the very next turn after. If I was to end my turn without winning, red might have been able to win this game. So how crazy is that the game was this close with basically everyone having a very, very good chance at winning. But of course I got to go in the chat. I gotta say good game because this one in fact is mine. And if you ever play with the wheat strategy in Basic Catan and Seafarers and Cities and Knights, you generally can't go wrong. You really generally can't. But of course there's many other strategies to explore, and of course I'm going to showcase those. And of course I just want to have lots of fun playing Catan, specifically here in Catan Universe. Thank you guys for watching. What a great game. 7s were rolled the most. 8s were rolled quite a bit. 9s were rolled just behind those 2 numbers. A great game all around. A very close game. That was the wheat strategy. Thank you for watching and take care.